Today's video, we're going to talk about optimizing a landing page for lead generation campaigns. My proven technique that always is going to increase conversions over the average guy's landing page. When I have a new client trying to get them guaranteed results at our firm, which is literally what we do at Guaranteed PPC, I'm going to look at the landing page as the very first source of increase in conversions to get us past the minimum threshold we need to get paid at our agency. Why? Because it has the fastest results. You tweak one little element on a lead generation page, you actually will then oftentimes get another 20, 30, 40, 50% more leads right away. And then boom, we can get paid right away. Not only that, but it's not going to mess with any of your ad progress, given if you've watched my other videos, you know making any kind of tiny change in your Google Ads account or Facebook Ads account can send everything back into learning mode. You're going to take a big hit in your results in order to go forward. Why do that when you can make seemingly small changes or basically small changes on your landing page, not enough for the algorithm that runs the ads to pick it up, get the lift in conversions, plus coupled with it's usually very easy to make changes on a landing page to get more conversions. Easier than creating a whole new campaign strategy, which you got to build out, break in, get some data behind it. Just focus on the landing page. The reality is I understand most people don't know anything about landing page optimization for lead generation campaigns, which is why I'm making today's video so you understand the basic premise of what gets results and generally gets higher conversion rates on landing pages using for lead generation campaigns, so you can use this for yourself because it's actually really straightforward and it's very similar niche to niche, which is made a video about it to share with you on today's video. So with that said, if you were wondering how to optimize a landing page for lead generation campaigns to maximize the amount of conversions you're getting and to scale the results that you're getting through the ad platform that you're running your ads on, this is going to tell you exactly how to do that. So, and if you stay to the end of the video, I will have a couple case studies for you where we talk about other landing pages I ran and optimized, took from a low conversion rate to a high conversion rate, and what elements here that I'm talking about we use to get that kind of a lift. So you have a direct idea of you do these things, ultimately how much more money you're going to make from your ad campaigns once you've done it. So with that said, or organic traffic, if you're driving organic traffic to a landing page of some sort. If you do not know who I am yet, I am Corey Zyman, owner of Guaranteed PPC, an online advertising agency that specializes in guaranteeing results for our clients. That is, we do not charge our clients management fees until we get them a certain minimum lift in their ad profitability up front. We're the only agency in the world who offers such a similar guarantee, which should tell you something about the quality of the information that you're receiving on today's video. I'm actually have done online ads for 20 years now. The main reason why we're able to offer a guarantee like this, because I'm doing all the strategy and all the client accounts at our firm. So with that said, getting into the main content here. Now, I drew a really beautiful graphic here of a landing page. What our standard landing page layout is going to look like that you should also use on your campaigns to get a really good starting point on getting your conversion rates to be as high as possible. Depending on what you're doing, you can get conversion rates as high as 60% on click to lead being phone call or form fill, by using this basic formula. Now, granted, that's in a space where not a lot of people are not going to be making a decision like a towing landing page, because everybody who searches for towing company are going to hire somebody. It's just a matter of who. Versus a home remodeling campaign where even if you're good, you're still only going to get 15% because a lot of people are just dicking around, basically not taking it seriously, looking around before they're going to buy, go to a website, even though they're typing in kitchen remodeling company, they had no intention of calling anybody right away. That just happened. Now, the key thing you got to know about making landing pages that convert at those kind of rates or higher for a lead generation campaign that you're running is the layout of the page is ultra important. Why? Because the main thing you got to do to get the sky high conversion rates is to make people not think, so to say. The more people have to think to get the key information they need from you, that is, can you do it? Do you cover their area, assuming it applies to you? And can they trust you? The quicker they get those three pieces of information, the more they're going to convert. Okay, so your goal is to lay out information. Know what information they're looking for, excluding the information they don't need, because that's going to hurt your conversion rates, or most people don't need, or it gets in the way. And how to lay it out to absorb the information as fast as possible. Nobody else is talking about this. And of course, there's an element of, does the page look trustworthy enough in terms of the level of design quality and aesthetics, but respectively, I will take an ugly looking page all day long with a good layout, because the layout has, most campaigns, the biggest impact out of all the things I just mentioned on your conversion rates. They have to see things in a certain order. They want to know, can you do it? Then they want to know, do you cover their area? Then they want to know, can they trust you? In that exact order. And this is the formula that we found that will convey it in that order and as quickly and as efficiently as possible. That is, a few seconds they'll know that we do it, we cover their area, and they can trust us. Of which, you're not going to get by with doing this at the insane levels that we're doing it with just one landing page. You need different landing pages for different services that you're offering, different locations. And yes, it's a pain in the ass to do that, but the results are freaking amazing. So if you want the real good results, you don't have any choice. You got to do this. A good layout, a page with a good layout will get great results even if you do make one page, but you'll still double your results again, having different landing pages for different keywords and so forth. So with that said, this is actually what you're going to do. Above the fold, or before you scroll down the page, you're going to want them to see this section and this section here. So basically you have the logo up front, you have the number on the top right of the site, because that's where normally everybody looks for it. A little secret of the business I like to put up here, we're online, call now, and then the hours, so that they know that they can get a hold of us right away with a little green LED there. I do that all the time now because it increases conversions. People sometimes, along with knowing the three things that I mentioned, they got to know that you're available right now. And it may seem self-evident, but if it's 6 o'clock on a Friday, you're open, they aren't going to default think that, and so it's going to hurt your conversion. So then you have your headline on the left-hand side. Why? Because people read stuff left to right. The headline is always going to be the keyword that they typed in, and then the city that they're in. Not Chicago, but the suburb that they're in specifically, which is where you're having to have multiple landing pages come in, which is not that hard to do, because once you have your base template, you can make it for one for each suburb, and this takes basically no time. And with that said, the most conversion is going to come from having the keyword in the headline. So if it's a plumbing service, you have plumbing service in Lincoln Park, not plumbing company, because that'll increase conversion rates typically on average 40%. Just that one simple thing. That said, at the beginning, I would recommend not using one page per keyword if you're running Google search campaigns, because it's going to take longer for the campaigns to get going, assuming you're just starting out. Collect data on a minimum amount of data on your campaigns to do well in terms of cost per lead and momentum in terms of number of leads. So, but your long-term goal absolutely will be to make one page per keyword, because that gets you the extra 40%. On the right-hand side, you got your hero image, okay? This hero image, the best thing that's going to work is showing the thing being done by somebody that they're visualizing is working. So if it's let's say it's a call center service, you're going to show some chick answering the phone in a call center. If it's a plumbing service and you're targeting a keyword about broken toilet repair, it's going to be some guy fixing a toilet. Why? Because it conveys what it is, because they have to know right away that you can do what they come there for quicker than anything. The goal would be, they didn't even have to read it. They just saw the image, boom. They could process images faster than they can read. The text is really just a supplemental thing to the image that's there. Now, some markets, you're not going to be able to do this exactly. Like we have a client who sells insurance. You can't show some guy taking down an insurance plan that easily. So in that case, you kind of improvise a little bit, and you have ultimately what looks like insurance office maybe, or something like that. So, or, a good one that we like to use, like I didn't do it in the insurance space, but in the accounting services space, we'll show the accountant there, right there. So you know who you're hiring right away, and it looks like an accountant. So it gets across what we need to get across as good as we can. In any kind of like creative agency, architectural agency, will want to show the business there itself. That is the office, showing it's a big office, and show that, because if you're thinking about hiring an architectural firm, you're thinking about a big office with people in it. Well, you would want to show that there. That's going to convey as best as possible and as quick as possible what you need to convey. So there's that. Then immediately below that section, okay, you got your review score ratings on all the various ad platforms. You got a review rating. The best ones to add on there is going to be Google, Facebook, Yelp if you're a local business, but you can exchange Yelp with whatever industry related review site that you have. And if you only have a couple, do a couple. The main thing is what you're going to do is you're going to have the gold star showing there because that's a signal that people know what that is without having to think again. And you're going to have your rating next to it, 4.7, 4.2, whatever it is. Assuming you have something over a 4-star, that'll increase your conversion. So you want to add it. And what you do is you have it clickable. So if somebody wants to verify you really got a 4.7, they click it and they can go directly to the Google Maps reviews to see it for themselves. And that goes against principles of what most people say landing pages are supposed to be like. That is, you're supposed to keep people on the page so that they don't get lost and then therefore not convert, and you're not controlling the action of the user. But if they damn well want to be able to click on this and see your reviews, if you stop them, it's going to hurt your conversions. You don't want to try to drive them off site deliberately, but if they want it, you got to have it available because there's some things that's just not negotiable. Along with that, by the way, sometimes, I didn't mention it, but we'll have a sub-navigation up top here in between the phone number and the logo and have like an About Us link, services link. Why? Because a lot of times people don't like to go to landing pages and feel like they're being trapped or forced into a certain action. And they actually want to investigate the site a little bit and business a little bit before they decide to convert. So even though we don't want people to go off site, we found that you'll convert better by having a little bit of links up there. Not in every occasion, but in I'll say even most occasions now, having that there so that they can go investigate what they need to investigate. And it looks like not a sales page. It looks like just a website. Websites have navigations. So they're not questioning, oh, I'm on a sales page. I don't want to be sold to. The logo should be clickable and take you to the home page. But anyway, with that said, that already, without even having to scroll, they can actually see this section and this section without having to scroll. They got everything they need to decide to buy if they don't need specific information on some element of what you're doing. They know that you do it, you cover the area, and they can trust you. Then, if they do need more information, your goal down here with the rest of it is to give them reason after reason after reason after reason why hire you in particular. And broken into sections so that if they want to see why you're better than the competitor, they see a basic overview. And then if they want even more information, they are able to click more and they get to a full article drilling down on why we're better than the competition in specific. When they're scrolling, they don't actually get bogged down with what they don't need, but they see, okay, if I want this, I can click this. If I want this, I can click this. If they want this, I can click this. They can scroll down really quickly, find the thing that they're interested in, click on it, read it, and then they're willing to convert. What we found recently, it's been doing very well for us, is to have when you go to the next section after this whole review part, is to have recent quotes. If you're doing something that's in the finance space of some sort, like tax relief services, accounting services, insurance, stuff like that. Recent quotes. You have a list of like 5 or 6 different guys, and then the last quote that they got. And that indicates that A, you have a lot of clients so they can trust you, but B, at the same time, what it basically costs to do business with you. This is in contrary to what most people think about landing pages and websites. They say don't put your pricing on your website. The reality is, if there's no pricing on the site, a lot of times they're just not going to convert because they don't want to call somebody to find out the pricing. So like I was saying before, the whole mantra is if somebody really, really wants something, you can't hide it just to get them to call because they end up just not going to call. On the right-hand side with that, you're going to have your contact form. And this submit button that goes underneath the headline up here, by the way, you click it, it just immediately brings you down to this form. This is what I would do. Underneath the recent quotes, you can have a little bit of information about the firm. We've been in business 30 years, whatever. We're an accredited agency, whatever. And then once you get down into this bottom section, it's proof after proof after proof after proof why you should be chosen. Because if they get past all this stuff, they're not quite confident enough, and all this stuff is going to increase your conversion rates the more of it you have, so to say. Before I get into what those things are, though, that you can add to the page and generally just ratchet up your conversion rate higher and higher and higher by adding more and more of it and investing more and more in it, you have a second option that will work for a lot of you guys as well. So what I've done here at the top of the page is, whereas that's more so good for a traditional like home services company, a video editing firm, stuff like that. If you are a tax relief firm, an insurance company, and the like, what you're going to typically want to do is have, you buy houses from people for cash. You're going to have at the top of the page It's still gonna have the logo and the phone number and all that stuff where it's supposed to be. But the main difference being here, instead of the headline and then the call to action to be a submit button that takes you to the form, it's gonna be a big ass headline that's centered on the page with a drop down list that's centered right underneath it, and then a button underneath it that says next. And what you're trying to do with this is you're going to ask the easiest low ball freaking question you can to get them involved in the process, because once they take one step forward, they're more likely to take a second. When they take a second step, they're more likely to take a third, and on it goes. It's similar to like if you went to an amusement park and you get into the line and the line looks like it sucks, but it's not too bad, you'll do it. Once you get to that initial line, you find that there's another line. It's not quite as big. You're like, oh, I actually invested this much time in it, I'll do it. Then once you get to that line, you end up finding there's another line. And if you were to get hit with the entire thing at once, you wouldn't be as willing to do it. People want to not have, there's a pain of loss of time. Once somebody has invested their time, they want to make sure they get a return on that time. And whereas it might be kind of skeezy to do that to people, ultimately you can't argue with the results. You're going to get much more conversions asking a lowball question like, how much money do you need? Or what would you like to pay for this insurance? Just something that everybody's going to know without having to think about it. And then immediately once they click next, then you start asking a little bit harder questions. And because they asked the first question, or they already answered the first question, they'll be more likely to give you a phone number or a little bit harder question like, how many employees do you have? Ideally, you want to break this down into small bite-sized chunks. We're talking no more than 2 or 3 questions on each step of the process. You can ultimately get everything you need for a big, like ultimately, let's say you have to have people fill out a big application to get a loan from you and you're doing that. You can break a 25 question application down into 10 steps of 3 questions each and then get 3 times as many people filling out that application, which is about what it is, than asking for all 25 questions at once. Particularly because you can structure it so that you can ask the right questions in the right times. The easier questions come first, then the harder ones. And in that situation, sometimes it pays to ask for the phone number as the second step so that they abandon on the 3rd, 4th, 5th step, you can still call them. In some occasions, it's hard to get it at that stage. And so you want to ask the phone number at the last step. That said, you may say, well, I can't really do this, because usually what you do this for is when you can get somebody a quote right away. You put on the ad, like we had a car shipping company. And what we put on the ad is say, instant quote, 60 seconds or less. It gets to a landing page that says, get an instant car shipping quote. What are you trying to ship? A car, truck, whatever. The reality was they had no automated engine to tell somebody what the quote was going to be. However, we had a system, and you could use, there's several programs and services out there where you can do this, but you can have it so when somebody finishes all the questions, it immediately places a call to your call center, salesperson's phone, and it says when the person answers the phone, it'll say, John Smith just filled out form on landing page A. Would you like to talk to John Smith? If so, press 1. And then you press 1, and then immediately connects you with the person who filled out the form, and you immediately give them the quote manually, which while you are scaling up your company, and eventually just have it automated where they get the quote right away and they can check out. For that matter though, generally speaking, you're still going to make money adding the human to the equation, because you can actually get on the phone with the person so that when they hear the price, you have a way to rebuttal them and so forth. But anyway, with that said, that is pretty much going to beat the conversion rate you're going to get from this anytime you're dealing with quotes or anything like that in specific. So you want to go ahead and go with this every single time if you're doing something like that. Okay, so that's the major other variant. You're either going to go with this one or this one. These are the 2 systems that we use to get the most conversion rates out of firm, depending if it's like a financial service or like a traditional service itself, like where you're delivering a cleaning service and the like. Now, going back to what I was saying before, if you want to really get the high conversion rates going for your company, you need to add lots and lots of social proof to the bottom part of your landing page, because each thing that you do will make people a little bit more confident, a little bit more confident, a little bit more confident on you specifically. So that part of the equation, like I mentioned before, where I said people got to know what you're doing, will apply to them, that you cover their area, and which, by the way, If you're doing a national service, it'll still be worth it every time to have the name of the state that the user's in, by the way. We do this on every national service campaign we run. So if they're in Texas, the ad is going to say liability insurance provider in Texas. The ad says, or the headline on the landing page says Texas, because that's going to increase the conversion rates another 50 to 100% just doing that one little thing when nobody else does it, because you're making it easier for them to know that we can serve them, we cover their area, without having to call. You say, well, why don't they call? Well, lots of people just don't want to call to find out stuff like that. And the easier you make it for where they feel certain when they call, they're going to be able to do what they want to do after they call, the more people are going to call. The last part of that equation, other than, can you do what they came for? Do you cover their area? Can they trust you? Part of them being able to trust you is to see your average review rating, because that's the number one way somebody can know if they can trust you, because that says everything. We've had 100 customers review us. Here's our average rating. But it still isn't the end all be all. You still could get higher trust than showing that you got a 4.5 rating on 3 of the top review rating sites on the internet. You can get them to trust you even more by having testimonials and so forth. And here are the key things that we do to ratchet up the conversion rate higher and higher. And when I say ratchet up, because I say that because a lot of this stuff is expensive and or hard to get. However, each thing is going to be able to give you a payoff. You can do it, add it to your landing page, make money, add another one, make some more money, add another one from the profit you're making from the first two, do it, make a little bit more money, and just keep going down the list until you literally have them all. In some occasions, like a towing company, you don't need to have 20 pieces of social proof to get someone to call. You can get by with 1 or 2 and do really well and get a 60-70% conversion rate like we've had in that space, which is ridiculously high, because you're only talking about a $100 decision. It's not, or a broken toilet repair service. You're not going to go bankrupt if you hire the wrong toilet repair company. I mean, you could, because they can up your toilet or whatever, but for the most part, they're not thinking, I need to spend 15 minutes here deciding if this company's worth it or not. They're going to spend 15 seconds or less finding out if you check out, and if so, they're going to call, and that's it. So, but distill it down here, the more expensive of whatever you sell is, the more of this is going to matter and affect your conversion rates. If you're selling something for thousands, you should damn well be doing all of this every single time. This also applies to, e-commerce. I know this isn't about e-commerce, but we use landing pages in e-commerce all the time. I call them pre-sell pages, where you send them to a landing page that explains the product. Then if they like it, they click through, and then they end up going to the real product page on the website. All this stuff will help you there. As a side, by the way, before I get into this list here as well, these 2 landing page templates is the main ones we always use. If we're targeting buying searches, or if the ad, at least, that we're running on Facebook or whatnot, pitches the service or whatever we're generating leads for directly. Okay? If we're generating leads for somebody who wants information, what will typically work the best there is sending people to an article, that what we call an advertorial, if you will, and which, basically it would be like, you want to know how to fix back pain, XYZ journal has mentioned what the new technology is. You drive into a landing page, it looks like a medical journal article, and that's a really good, effective way to do lead generation as well, so to say. Ultimately, in some occasions, we'll use landing pages where we drive people to a landing page and it's just a video there, which they watch the video. And so if you had an ad that says, here's how to make $1 million a month running video ads on YouTube for your business, they see that ad, they drive them to a landing page with a video ad. Sometimes we'll do a little bit of that. Some other variants that we commonly use here at the firm. Ultimately, mainly what I'm talking about here is Google search campaigns. Those other 2 are used either for display advertising, where we're interrupting people, or we're targeting keywords that are informational based. That is, somebody looking how to get rid of back pain, and then having an ad that interrupts them and say, hey, there's new back pain technology, da-da-da-da-da. If you're just targeting people typing in cleaning services, architectural services, insurance services, these are the 2 ones that you're going to want to go to every time. So anyway, with that said, if you want to get the highest conversion rates, you want to implement a checklist of things on your landing page towards the bottom, because it's generally always going to give you a return, and each thing can give you a good 10% bump in your conversion rate. So at the end of the day, When everybody else in your space is getting 15%, you do a page, you're going to get 60%, and that makes it easy to just take every click away from every competitor because you've got such an efficient mousetrap, it's ridiculous. The first thing of which on this list to mention is the service preview. I would typically, if what you have is even slightly complicated to explain, and it's a new concept and or both, I would have below this section here a video that explains what you're going to get and how it's delivered specifically. Okay? If it's an insurance service, you're going to say, if you contact us for a quote, we're going to ask you a few questions about your business so we can get you the best quote for your business, and you'll be very happy with the result because we have a very good proprietary process where we're able to check with 10,000 different insurance companies to find you the best quote, the best price for your exact needs. Something like that. Then you're going to get into your certs and awards and ratings. So like I said before, you're going to have a dedicated section for the service preview. Then you have another dedicated section for the certs, awards, ratings, whatever. We had a winery that was generating leads for somebody to come into the winery, get a tour, whatever. And we had a whole section just talking about the average review rating of the wine at the winery from a third-party source and how they won medals and so forth. Or this could also, though, be a dedicated section that talks about your A+ BBB rating, which will convey trust. So there's a bunch of different ways to do things here, or industry certifications, like industry-related certifications that show you're a provider that follows these standards and so forth. You could make a section doing that. Of which, by the way, on these little details, the best bet is to reach out to me at my firm to know for sure what would work the best there, what to invest in, because chances are I've already done a landing page in your niche market already and I know what works. And we could sell you even the template if you're interested in it, and you could just run with it. But along with that, we'll have the campaign templates, the ad templates that work for your niche market to get a set result. You can ask us what the result we have from it is, and then you can just use it straight up. Or ultimately, we'll have a company that we work with that's almost the same as your niche that you're in and tell you which one to go with. You can always reach out to me if you're interested in that. We also guarantee results with anything that we're going to help you with. Not only with the landing pages, with the ads, the tracking, and we do not charge fees until we get you a certain minimum lift in your profitability. So if you're interested in somebody who really knows what they're doing, can make great landing pages, not good, but great, with ad campaigns that work every time and that you don't have to necessarily pay until we get you a lift from it, reach out to me at Guarantee PPC and we'll have a talk about working together, and or sell you the ad template for you to use if you like managing your own campaigns and we worked in your niche market already. We've got people using these templates, by the way, that we sell or started selling because we've worked in over 100 niche markets in the last decade plus of running this firm. I keep mentioning it on this channel now because people use these templates to start other businesses from scratch. If you want a turnkey business, start with a template that works for a niche market. Just do it like the other company did in a different geographic area than they're in, and you have a turnkey business essentially as a result. Or if you wanted to sell a product, you could sell it in a country that our client isn't in and have a turnkey campaign to get turnkey results with it. We got people that generate leads and sell those leads at a markup because the templates work so good and they're so efficient already after running the ads for years already in that space. We got people that subcontract out work using these templates. They start it up, they answer the phone, they hang up the phone, they call somebody else up to do the work, and they play middleman. And that is a $1 million business idea in and itself. If you're interested in our templates, we'll let you know what we have in terms of templates, results. Reach out to me at guaranteedppc.com as well, and I'll let you know. Also, you can leave me a comment in the comment section, by the way, if you have any questions about your particular situation, any marketing related question is fine. I get back to every single person who leaves me a question or comment on this channel, usually within 24 hours time. Getting back to what I was saying here, the next section that will typically always ratchet up another 10% or so conversion rate for you is a testimonial section. If you have written testimonials, you're going to put it there. This gold stars next to the testimonial with the headshot is going to work the best. What's going to work even better though is video testimonials. And what you'll typically do to get a video testimonial is just say, hey customer, John, Mary, I would appreciate it if you could just answer these 3 questions on your phone and then send us the video, which there's apps where you can get them to do this and it right away sends the video to you automatically. But I want to know just say on video what you hired us for, what you thought of it, and what you would recommend to others. And that information packed into a bunch of videos that you can then lay out in a particular section on your landing page will help the customer so much. Because ultimately then they're just going to hear, particularly if the reviews are about toilet repair and you have 9 guys talking about why they hired and then what they thought of it, what else do you basically need? So you want to invest in that. You want to invest in the before and afters, which if it applies in your market. Toilet repair, nobody gives a shit about a before and after. But if you're doing anything even slightly visible or visual, the before and afters are going to increase your conversion rates dramatically, especially anything like with remodeling services. I mean, that's the key thing you're going to do more than anything else. And the more before and afters you got, the better. We found though, if you add too many, it won't help your conversion rate because it bogs down users who don't care about it. But you have 12 there, and then you have a link that says, see the rest of our before and afters. Then that takes them to a page on your site that's dedicated to it, and they can see them all. So you have that. Then you have your location. So this is actually at the very bottom section of your landing page. You're going to want your address, a pin on a map showing where you're physically orientated in the area that you're in, unless you're far away from the customer. Then in that case, I wouldn't necessarily have it so even there at all, because people then will assume you're local when you're not. Particularly when you say, architectural services in Tampa, and you're not in Tampa, but you put Tampa there because it's going to increase your conversion rate. Then you would want to hide it at the bottom. But generally, if you can, and you have an office in the area or whatever, you're going to put the address there every time because it increases trust considerably. Not to mention the bottom of the page is where people look for the phone number sometimes. And you will get the highest conversion rate by having the phone number at the top, right below your form, and then at the bottom of the page again. So no matter where because different people look in different spots for the phone number, and if you have them in the mall, you cover all your bases. Then you got how we're different. So this really peeves me, like why people say, you don't talk bad about your competitors. It's low class. If you got a competitor who has an offer where they're ripping their customers off compared to what they should get, and you don't ever talk about it, you're not helping anybody. Okay, you're helping people get a worse experience. Not only that, but those customers that your competitors have need to be your customers. You want it to be, right? So why would explaining you're better be low class? I mean, ultimately, any business that I run and own, I'm going to go out there and buy all our competitors' services, or at least go through the sales pitch or buy the products. And I'm going to compare the products that the competition has to my product. And then I'm going to explain how it's different in a whole dedicated section, what you get versus what you're going to get through them. People need to know this more than anything, even if they're hiring a cleaning service. What they do, what we do. Therefore, the price is the same, but you're getting much more quality because we're going to clean the backsplashes, they don't. We're going to clean your air vents, they don't. I mean, out of anything you could tell them, that's the thing they need more than anything, other than once they find out you have okay reviews. Because when you have okay reviews, and so does your competitors, now what do I do to decide it's good? Well, at that point, I might just go strictly on price. And if you don't want just to compete on price, that's what you got to do. So if you want an extra 10-20% conversion rate, you add that section. Then you're going to go ahead and you're going to have a section for celebrity endorsement, aka influencers. And so you either get an industry influencer, like in the architectural space, that could say, yes, this is actually a really good architectural service company. Or you get somebody, if it's a local cleaning service and there's not really that isn't even a good example. Because even a cleaning service, you could find somebody that talks about home beautification to review your service and do a video review on it. But let's say you sell nuts and bolts. Nobody has a channel on YouTube about that per se and reviewing it and whatnot. And assuming you sell locally, what you could do is reach out to somebody in your city that's an influencer and then have them review your nut and bolt store. Ultimately, you're trying to get somebody as relevant as possible to review your products and or services, and then that video goes into a dedicated section of its own, which you may say, if I got testimonials, why don't I need that? Well, why does any big company use celebrity endorsements? It gets trust, and it gets trust very, very well. For a few $1,000, you can get a mid-grade influencer to speak on your product, and for $10,000-$20,000, you can get pretty much any influencer you want to speak well about your product. Presumably they actually review it and they like it and all that. Yeah. But you can actually get somebody who Because the key thing of why it gets things to work so well is there's actually two reasons. One, if a person can verify that person has a lot of followers, but they didn't know them before, they're going to see, oh, well, they would have never spoke highly on this product or service if it really wasn't good. But secondly, if they actually have seen or heard of the influencer, then it's massively going to increase your conversions, because it's like, whoa, wow, I know who that is, and I already trust him. It instantly conveys so much trust. So this is why I said you're not going to be able to do all this stuff at once. It either takes a lot of time or a lot of money. But I promise you, if you add a celebrity endorsement on there of some sort to prove that your service really is legit, you're going to get all that back. You may only get an extra 5% conversion rate, but 5% over the next 5-10 years, there's no way that 10K you're not going to get it back. There's just no way, unless you're doing like almost no business. Then finally, press and mention. So similar to what I was mentioning with the celebrity endorsements, you go out and you have a news organization review your product or service, which you can easily do with money. You can buy anything with money nowadays, as it seems. We actually had it where we had Fox News review a particular product before, and just took that review, put it on the landing page. The conversion rate went up significantly once we did that. That was for a product, obviously. You can do the same thing for a service, though. You can have a local news station review your cleaning service, and you record that recording, that radio show recording, whatever it is, on that page. And it's like, whoa, wow, if XYZ radio station, that's the biggest radio station in the area, says it's a good cleaning service, it must be the top one. You're getting them to make assumptions. It's a flawed assumption. Just because you're reviewed on a radio show doesn't mean they're the biggest company in the area, because usually people associate big with the best. If you are reviewed on a radio show, they either think, wow, it must have cost a lot, or you must actually be the best company in the area, otherwise they wouldn't have reviewed you. Either way, they're going to automatically assume you're the biggest, therefore the best, and they're just going to want to go with you. Usually people hire the biggest company because it's the safest, because they're the least likely to run off with your money and not care and not want to give you a refund if things get screwed up and so forth. So your job and your goal is to seem as big as possible. That's the main way you can do it with the celebrity endorsements, along with doing heavy remarketing. So if somebody gets to your landing page, you hit them with this video testimonial that they see later on, and this celebrity endorsement mention, and this mention on the local radio station that everybody knows. And they start seeing all this stuff, which it literally costs a fraction of a penny to have somebody see an ad like that once they leave the site. So when it costs $10 to get them to your landing page in the first place, and you spend an extra 50 cents to have them see 50 ads after they leave, they think you're the biggest because you got ads everywhere. And really, they don't know it costs 50 cents to get in front of them like that. But once you've got all this extra content on your landing page, what you do is you just work it into remarketing ads. So they see this video testimonial, then this one, then they see this A+ BBB rating that you got. And you may say, well, if they saw it on the landing page, why do I have to tell them after they leave? A lot of people will either not remember it all, or they just didn't get all the way through the content. And so regurgitating it to them over and over again in your remarketing strategy drills it into their freaking head, so that, because a lot of times, here's what's the deal is, even if it is a cleaning service, a lot of people, you think they click through the ad, they buy, and otherwise they don't buy. Half the people are going to click through your landing page and they're not going to buy right away. They're going to buy after a day or a week or a month. That time that elapses between the time they initially got to your landing page and the time they make a final decision, the person who follows up with all these ads is going to get the business most of the time. I know that because we do it on basically every account that we run. We'll run video remarketing, banner remarketing, and it's so effective in conveying trust to somebody who doesn't necessarily know who to trust. Because if they don't buy right away, if they were going to buy, it's usually because they don't know who's the cheapest or they don't know who's the best. The main way you get them to know who's the best is through these remarketing ads that talk about all the other people who reviewed your service, why it's better, on and on and on, like I mentioned before. So that's the list right there. If you want to keep getting higher and higher conversion rates on an ongoing basis, reinvest into these things and keep doing them. A great landing page is only going to do also, though, as good as the traffic source that you have. That is, you get the right traffic going to the page that actually is going to give a shit about everything you mentioned here. And that's its own thing. So I recommend that if you're getting into this, you also focus on, after you've got your landing page optimized, your ads, your tracking. I've got all the techniques that I know about to make ads more profitable on this channel. So if you haven't subscribed to this channel already, you should, because all the information you basically find elsewhere on YouTube and online from these other so-called gurus that talk about ad strategy, they don't actually run any ads, believe it or not, or they run very few, and the results, the result you're going to basically get with their information is it's going to be zero or even worse than nothing. So you're serious about making money with your ads and through doing work on ads, landing pages, tracking, which all goes into running a successful ad campaign, you want to subscribe and pay attention to the information on this channel at least first. Furthermore, you can find my blog at guaranteedppc.com/blog. The blog has all of my strategies. I document how we use them to get results, screenshots. Everything we are basically using to guarantee results for our clients is there and for you to be able to use as well. If you like the channel, you're going to like that blog as well. And for that matter, if you are stuck with where you're at, you're not sure if it even is the ads. Is it my ads? Is it my website? Is it my pricing strategy? Is it my sales strategy? Reach out to me at our site at guaranteedppc.com and get a 30-minute coaching session with me. I can, whether you're an agency or non-agency for that matter, I can ask you within that 30-minute coaching session enough questions to pinpoint where your bottleneck in your business is that's stopping you from getting to the next level of revenue in your company. I've been starting to do this because a lot of you guys, it's not the ads that's the problem. It's the pricing strategy or something else. And once you fix that, your ads will start working more and more again. And you'll keep growing your sales just through the campaigns you already got. If you want to know where the bottleneck is, reach out to me, get yourself a coaching session, and we can go through it together. And every single person who's reached out to me for a coaching session in the last 6 months since I started doing this has come back for an additional session, literally speaking. So should tell you something about the information that I'm providing there. That all said, okay, now case study, in terms of the case studies, I mentioned on this type of landing page here, we've gotten 60% conversion rates, 70% conversion rates in the towing space. We had a conversion rate in the crime scene cleanup space where we're getting 25% conversion rates on this, whereas the average person's only going to get 5 to 8%. That's how much of a difference this makes. And this was, by the way, wasn't even with everything I mentioned here. This was just with the basics I mentioned here by itself. Why? Because a lot of this stuff, most of this stuff, I can't control at our agency. I tell clients, if you do this stuff, you're going to not get a 25, but a 35 or 40% conversion rate. A lot of times they don't believe it or don't want to do it, or they're busy or whatever. They don't have money to reinvest. It's available to you, okay? That said, specifically, we had a cleaning service who actually did do most of the stuff that was on the list. In terms of the service preview, certifications, testimonials, before and afters. As crazy as that seems in the cleaning space, people did actually care about that. The location, specifically how we're different, and a little bit of the press mentions. Okay, the local guru in the area or a person that everybody knew in the area had a little bit of a following mentioning that they reviewed the service and liked it, which it's not that hard to do in a service like cleaning services. You just reach out to them. Hey, would you like a free cleaning? All I want is a quote from you about how you liked it. And then you get that quote and it increases your conversion rates. No celebrity endorsements per se. If you want to, just to clarify, that is a celebrity endorsement, not a press mention. Even though the person who did the review of the service actually had a blog, which you could call that a news site, if you will. It's not really. A news endorsement really would be like an old school, radio station, TV show, or like CNN or something like that. But with that said, we started out with a conversion rate when we didn't add all this other stuff on our landing page of right around 20%. Once we started adding all this stuff, we got it up to close to 35% adding all this stuff up, which doesn't sound like a big jump. But I mean, if you put it into perspective, an extra, basically 60% more conversions ultimately from your campaigns. I mean, if you were making 50 grand a month now or before, now you're making, 80 just because you got this stuff on your landing page, and all of it really cost you less than, 20 grand in total to do in terms of staff implementation time and salary, what you have to pay the celebrity endorsement person, and so forth. So you get, and it just keeps paying. You get an extra 30 grand this month and next month, and it just keeps going and going and going. And, you know, over the next 5 years, you now made an extra $3 million, $5 million, and you only spent 20 grand to hook it up. So anyway, that's how I would optimize a landing page for a lead generation campaign specifically. And that is how we're doing it at our own firm. So with that said, I'm going to wrap it up with that. Thank you very much for watching as usual, and I'll see you on the next one.
Remember when I said landing page optimization was important during this video? Well, this video here tells you how to do it.